Choosing a destination might be a plan, or a plan might really need much more than that to be considered a plan. On episode 709, we are going to discuss planning, what it means, what it is, and more on this episode of today's Antidote.
Stay tuned for today's Antidote, brought to you by the Renegade Success Network. Today's Antidote features a healthy dose of thought-provoking insights and information for business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and nonprofit professionals. Each day since March of 2020, this program has offered that one thing to help you continue on your own unique pathway to success. And now, Renegades, we bring you Bob Graham and Tom Brush.
Hey, Tom.
Good morning, Bob. How are you today?
I'm okay, although you had a slight glitch at the beginning. It was showing the discoveries of the week slide.
Oh, fascinating.
So for the purposes of my reusing this later today,
yes.
Can you show the right slide for like 3 seconds for me?
I'll do it at the end of the show. How about that?
Okay. All right. That's fine. Yes. So it happens.
Yes. Sometimes the things that get forgotten in pre-production.
It happens. I'm amazed in the number of episodes we've done and the juggling you have to do, how few times it happens.
Yeah. I guess maybe I need a little more planning.
It's a Monday.
It's a Monday after a Bills tough loss. So my mindset was maybe not where it could have been.
I didn't realize how much in the fall football affects my life, but it was really weird to know that the Ravens weren't playing at all this weekend. I was telling you earlier, I was watching some of the Formula One race from Brazil.
Right.
I was watching the Cleveland Browns game. I was watching the Buffalo game because I knew you had an interest in it. And secretly, I was rooting for the other team to win because
give me so it'd be more interesting.
Well, and it helps the Ravens.
Yes, that is fair.
So otherwise, though, very quiet day and a very quiet, in some ways, quiet weekend.
I got my 25,000 steps in yesterday, so that's good as well.
Wow. That's crazy.
And it didn't even seem like it. Like that was, it's funny. I did however many games the week before.
So Tom officiates girls and women's lacrosse, and so he runs up and down the field a lot. And last Sunday, I got 26,000 steps in. And I didn't feel like I ran as much yesterday as I did the week before. So I don't know what happened there. Maybe you're acclimated to it.
Maybe. And the games were different last weekend than this weekend. So maybe that had something to do with it.
Okay. All right. Hey, let's get rocking and rolling, Tom.
You think so? Would that make sense? Well, everyone,
that's a good idea.
Welcome to today's Antidote, our daily broadcast and podcast, where each week we choose a topic and we have a discussion around that topic. And each day there's a different subset or subtopic that we dive into our topic a little bit deeper with. As I mentioned this morning, not what was shown on the screen. This week's topic is planning. And today we're going to talk a little bit about what it is. So as we go through that conversation, if you have any thoughts or ideas that you would like to share, please feel free to share them in the comments of whatever social media you happen to be following us on, whether that is Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, or
LinkedIn Live, baby, on a Monday morning.
Okay. Yes, indeed, because we welcome your thoughts and ideas. You could even, I guess, try to say them in a voice like Bob does his LinkedIn Live baby comment, I guess.
I don't even know how I'd describe that voice.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I would either. But we welcome those because we know that it'll add value to our show and probably have an impact. We'll even put it up on the screen if we think that it can make a difference to the conversation or add to the conversation. And then at the conclusion of that conversation, Bob and I will each offer our one thing, our today's antidote. That thing that we hope will help you figure out when you get stuck around planning, how to take your next step along your own unique pathway to success. And of course, if you have a one thing, an antidote that you would like to share, please feel free to put that in the comments as well. because it might be the thing that someone else is exactly looking for to help them move forward and take their next step. And before we dive into our conversation, though, each morning, Bob and I share our celebrations. So, Bob, what are you celebrating today?
So I was welcomed into a family birthday celebration on Saturday with a new family I've gotten to know, and it was really fun, and I felt like I was a part of something that I wasn't expecting to be as a part of as I was. So that was really special person celebrating that person's birthday, and it was really fun to be a part of that. So
nice.
And I'm being intentionally cryptic.
You could have just stopped. You didn't have to say
I was afraid you would ask me questions and I wasn't going to answer them. So I know how you like to ask questions. So what are you celebrating today, Thomas? Tommy?
Excuse me? Wait, what? This isn't my family Zoom call. That's what they might call me. So I am celebrating around a year or so ago. It might have been 2 now. I'm trying to remember exactly. I went through a course with Maryland Nonprofit. Some of the work I do with nonprofit organizations. And Maryland Nonprofits has an opportunity for you to be certified in their standards of excellence. It's an opportunity to sort of set some guidelines, suggestions of things that are kind of common practices amongst nonprofit organizations. And I think it's really helpful as developing nonprofits grow, they start to incorporate some of these things, these common practices into their world. And so I was able to get certified in it. Well, tonight they are having the next cohort. They're actually doing this in person. I did it virtually. And they're having a dinner for the cohort tonight in downtown Baltimore. And so I got invited to go down as a current certified person to network a little bit with that cohort. So I'm excited about the opportunity to connect and engage with that group. It's always nice to do something in person, and looking forward to that tonight.
Fun. That's great.
Yeah.
And it's really good work that you do with them.
It's enjoyable, that's for certain.
But it also makes a difference. You know, nonprofits have an important role.
They do. They definitely
and
do.
I think it's easy for us to overlook that.
Sometimes can be.
And they have many of the same challenges as you and I have discussed routinely as, you know, a for-profit business has. I think you bringing them a lot of those skill sets that you know so well really helps them.
Thanks. I would agree. All right. So now that we've done our celebrating, we're ready to dive into our conversation around planning and what it is. Do you want to kick us off with some thoughts, Bob?
Sure. So I'm a whiteboard planner, and I just, at this place where I'm living, I just put up a whiteboard, and I have littered it with plans, spreadsheets, charts. I just like the freedom and flexibility. And there's something about a whiteboard where you can actually erase things very easily. You know, it's less permanent to me than paper, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Paper, to erase something on paper, especially if you use a pen, is really challenging. With a pencil, it's a little better. But with the whiteboard, I feel like you can just be completely open to possibilities and erase things and move things and shift things and change colors. And so I like to plan that way. I also like to plan when I'm exercising. And the plans can be everything from what I'm going to say during this program to, if I won $1 million, what would I do with it? And every variation in between. And I'm someone who likes to plan things, but also as I get older, enjoys the ability to not have a plan at times. But I think the real key is planning with the focus on what we're trying to accomplish. And when I say what we are trying to accomplish, really what I'm trying to accomplish, what makes me happy, what brings me joy, where I feel like I can make a difference. Like I think you working with the nonprofits, you light up when you work with nonprofits. It's just, you've done it for so long, it's a part of you. Just like I get very excited when I'm involved in some sort of communications aspect with the company, whether it's writing, whether it's editing, whether it's tweaking the website, those things. And I think the more we can plan to build in those things into our life, the more joy we have and the more we can invest in ourselves going forward. And it doesn't feel like an investment. You didn't sound like someone else who might be like, I got invited to this dinner. It's really good for my business. And I'm going to go to this dinner because they asked me to go to dinner. It's a Monday night and there's a football game and there's going to be traffic. You didn't sound like that at all. You sounded genuinely excited about the opportunity because it fits into your big plan, right? And I think that's part of this, right?
I think so. Although I'm curious, like, what is planning?
I think to me,
I think there's an opportunity to define what that means.
So my definition of planning would be looking ahead and trying to figure out what you want to achieve and how you might get there. But with the recognition, as you and I have said repeatedly, that it's really about taking the next step. And that next step could lead you in a different direction. But you've got to have a plan. If you have no plan, you're not going anywhere, right?
In one sentence, you use the word "but" twice. It's like, well, there's this, but then there's this.
Well, I think they cancel each other out now that way. Well,
so
think about it. If you're rowing a boat, so simple example, you're rowing the boat. If you're just putting the oars in and you're just, I'm using the right oar, then I'm using the left oar, right oar, left oar, and then suddenly you just use the right oar and you don't really have a plan for how you're going to do it. It's just like, well, my right arm's stronger, I'm going to use my right arm. What are you going to do? You're going to go in circles. You're never going to get anywhere. And I think we're prone to do that. But if you say, you know what, I'm going to use both oars. I know I said but again. If you use both oars, then you're at least going in a direction. That doesn't mean you have to keep using both oars going ahead. It doesn't mean you couldn't take the oars out of the little post and paddle. It doesn't mean you couldn't jump out and swim to the shore. It doesn't mean that someone might swim up and go, hey, I'd really like to row your boat for you. It might not, you might find a motor's in the back. There are a lot of variations on that. But if you have no plan, if you're not going somewhere, how are you going to get there? Right?
So is determining where you're going a plan?
Yeah, yes, but not a carved in stone plan. I think that's one of the things that I struggle with at times. The minute I say out loud a plan, I have a commitment in my head that I've got to achieve it. And I think what I'm coming to realize is so much of a plan is in flux.
How so?
I have plans for today. I need to pick someone up at the airport. I've got a couple of calls to do. I also have a client who's having a hard time with some things, and I very much would expect the possibility exists that they're going to call and say, hey, I really need your help today. At that point, my plan for the day, the schedule I have mapped out on my whiteboard is going out the window. And so I have a plan, but I also have reality. And I think most of us who live in the real world, especially if you have a family, a spouse, a significant other, a pet, any kind of commitments beyond just your work, you have this friction point. You know, we're getting up to, I saw in the news last night, there's a chance in the Baltimore area that snow might fall sometime this week. Mm-hmm. I've already heard this morning 2 people tell me that they're making plans for if it snows because they have kids and kids have school and okay. So they've got a plan for the week. I do this all week, but now maybe if it snows, I got to change that plan. So what did they have a plan? They had 2 plans. One was the with snow plan and the one was without snow plan. I think what happens to us in business, or at least to me a lot, is I either have very little of a plan or I have too much of a plan. It's either too loose or too rigid. I'm not like Goldilocks where it's just right very often. And I think that's part of the benefit of having someone like you in my life who can coach me around those things and say, you know, what are you trying to accomplish? Where does this fit in? Does this help you achieve your plan? I'm sorry. Or is this a shiny object? Or is this avoidance? You know, I'm involved with a group where there are 4 or 5 people that have been working on their websites to launch their business for weeks. And the coach to this group finally said to one of the guys, you know, I haven't had one person mention my website. I haven't referred someone to my website. I'm not really sure that's what you what's going to make or break you. And he's like, oh, I got to have a website because they have to go look at it. It's like, no, you have to have a conversation. And that's where this person was struggling. And I think sometimes we make a plan, but we don't execute it. It's like, it's like Monopoly money. Yeah, I can spend $500 in Monopoly money because it's not real money. I can make a plan, but it's not really what I'm going to do. I'm not going to make 50 calls today. Well, you know what? That's what my plan calls for. Excuse the pun. And so part of this, I think, is really being honest with ourselves. And I struggle doing that alone sometimes, to say, what am I really trying to achieve this week? I would challenge everyone who watches or listens to us, honestly, what are you trying to achieve this week? Like, come Friday afternoon, you can look back and say, hey, this week I achieved this thing. Because I find when I do that, the plan follows. When I have a commitment, like you and I set up a plan for me, and not a plan as much as just a map of what I could do to achieve the things I wanted to achieve. I know where I'm off track. I know where I can pick it back up this week. So I've got a plan. The question really isn't what is the plan? It's what are we willing to do to do the plan to achieve the goal? That's really the bigger question, right?
Yeah, I think so. I also think there's the plan and there's planning. And I think they're two separate things. And I think is identifying a plan, planning, or is there more to it than that? If we're being specific about the topic was about planning, and is planning making a statement, or is planning having a detailed outline of how you hope to achieve the end result that you desire? Because you could say, what is planning? Well, for you, planning today was, all right, what do I need to do today? One thing I need to do is I have to go to the airport to pick someone up. Okay. And I also have 2 other calls. And I also have a client who might be coming in. And so you could just know all those things and be like, okay, that was my planning session. Or you could say, all right, how do I specifically want to dive in and ensure that all of the things that could happen in an effort to have my day go the way I would like it to go?
Tom, can I break in? We've got a description of what my voice sounds like from my sister Beth. Bob sounds like Yogi Bear when he does his LinkedIn Live, baby. Congrats, Tom. Have a great day. You too. There you go. So,
okay.
I think Yogi Bear might be the right. Yeah.
For those people who
believe in Yabba Dabba Doo, or is that Fred Flintstone?
Fred Flintstone said Yabba Dabba Doo.
Okay. I'm not a cartoon guy, I must confess.
And Yogi Bear, appreciate it. As someone who watched Yogi Bear, there's probably a lot of people who have no idea who Yogi Bear is.
Look it up. I'm sure you can find it on the internet.
Likely.
Sorry to interrupt with that, but there was but while we're stopping for a second, wake up, Adam. I have a nephew who's not a big fan of getting up, and apparently this program is in the background. And so hopefully this will spark him to get up on Monday morning. It's a beautiful day, Adam. Make it happen. There you go.
Yes. And the question would be, is if he was planning, how does he avoid that? Does he put earphones in?
He's a teenager, so my guess is he's planning to stay in bed and just pull the covers over his head. You remember those days?
That is planning. If he thought about that ahead of time.
Oh, I think he's practiced it many times in the last couple of years.
It's fair. Because I think this is where some confusion falls in. Is what is planning? Is planning saying, I want to make $250,000 next year.
I saw that coming.
Could be. Sorry. Or
I saw that coming as a given.
Or is it here are all the things that I want to do to achieve that? I think there's almost setting a destination, which is part of planning. And then it's going back and figuring out, okay, what are the ways that I think are going to be most effective in getting to that destination? And I think that for many people, sometimes there's some confusion about what it looks like. And I also think it goes to what you said. I think there is planning, and then there is potentially over planning. I have to, it has to be down to I have to plan to every minute. I have to plan to every hour, whatever the case might be, so that I'm trying to ensure that I maximize whatever it is that I'm trying to accomplish. You go on a vacation and you say, hey, we're going to go on a vacation to Disney World. Okay. That's planning. You're like, all right, I know where I want to go and what it looks like. And then there'd be like, okay, we're going to go to Disney World. We're going to spend a half a day at Animal Kingdom, and then we're going to spend the night at Magic Kingdom. And then the next day we're going to go to Epcot. And then the next day we're going to hang out at our hotel. And that's planning. And then it's like, okay, here's our route at each of these locations. Here's exactly where we're going to have dinner. Here's exactly what we're going to do. And, I think that there is a balance in there of what is planning that can help you achieve reach the destination and achieve the goal, as we talked about last week. If you didn't listen to that, you might want to go back and listen to this. There's some really, I thought really nice discussions, effective discussions around achieving the goal last week. Is how do you put together your planning to try to do that? And I know that sometimes that's a challenge for people because they're not exactly sure, or they're so sure that they lay it all out. And then once one thing goes off rail, they feel like all of their planning is shot. Have you ever heard anybody say that? Well, my goal was to get to here, and this is how we were going to do it. And then the first thing doesn't go as planned, and now they don't know what to do because their whole plan is shot.
Or they feel hemmed in, right? That's the third alternative. Now I've got to do these things. And that means that if, for me, if someone said to me on Wednesday, hey, it's a great day, let's go play golf in the afternoon, and I want to go play golf. No, I can't, because I have a plan and I'm locked into this plan, even though I could go play golf and then do some of the things I would do while I was playing golf. Instead of golf, I could do them in the evening. I could do them Saturday morning. So sometimes I think there's a rigidity to the plans that can be alarming to people and frustrating as well.
Can be, sure. I guess it all depends on what the outcome that you have, the desired outcome you have, and how you would evaluate that outcome. Right. You could get to the end of our Disney trip and say, wow, it was a great time, and not really be overly concerned about all the things that went differently than you thought. Or be like, well, we didn't follow our plan, and so, my whole trip was ruined.
Right.
Possibility, the way that you could look at it. I would sort of think that's a judgment rather than an evaluation or a measurement of. And I think that's where some people struggle, is they're not really exactly sure how to do their planning or how much detail they want in their planning. And I think that as I was thinking about that this weekend, is the workshop we have coming up. So for our Baltimore area peeps, or anyone who wants to come into town for a great workshop on December 8th, we're going to dive into that. We're going to dive into like, what is your destination? And then let's start planning of what that looks like that's going to help you achieve it, how to measure it, and how to better understand at the end, what did you learn from the activities. And so if you are interested in that, please, there are still some spaces available. First come, first serve. There are limited spaces available. And we have an early bird special that if you sign up by December 15th.
No, not December 15th.
Sorry.
November 15th.
November 15th.
If you're listening to this today on the 14th, you have a day.
Yes, you have till the end of the day on November 15th. And that early bird you'll save $100, you will get a signed copy of the Renegade Way book by Bob Graham. And we're going to throw in a free laser solution session that afterwards, after you put your plan together and you're uncertain what to do next, you can reach out to one of us and we can have a discussion around that and how we can help you move closer and closer to achieving the goal that you desire. Maybe it's even the big dream that you have, you just haven't done anything about. So if you are interested in that, I imagine Bob is putting the link to that in the chat.
I am doing it right now.
You can also just reach out to Bob or I to try to get more details. So we would love to have you become a part of that and help you take your next step along your own unique pathway to success. So Bob, as we wrap this show up, what's your one thing around planning and what it is?
I'm struggling, to be honest, because you've given me some things to think about this morning with regards to plans, because I really do. For me, what it is, sometimes it's very annoying to me to have a plan and I have to execute it. It's very inhibiting and confining, and sometimes it's very big picture, and I struggle a lot to have that right place where what it is valuable to me and what I'm trying to achieve. It's either I overplan or underplan. And so I'm looking forward to a week of discussions around this, because I didn't really realize until we started talking this morning how much I'm either at one end or the other and not in that middle spot. Not sure that was one thing. I think it was more like a confession, but
well, a confession could be one thing, I guess. You know, it all sort of depends.
Yes, Father.
My mother would be happy about that statement if it was a reality.
Even better if you said do 10 Hail Marys and you'll figure out the answer.
Well, then there's that as well. You know, I think that as I think about what's my one thing today, it's around planning. I think it's intentional thought around reaching a destination. You know, I think part of planning is identifying the destination. And I think a part of it is also then trying to figure out how you're going to achieve it. I'm not sure we spend as much time intentionally planning. You know, the day that we did the whiteboard thing with you, which is similar to what we're going to do at our workshop, that was planning. I think as we sat down and we really had a conversation around what is it you like to do? What is it that you want to do? Where is it you want to be? And what are some of the steps that you could take?
And how can I help people? You know, where can I provide value? We didn't just, you know, right. It's not like I said, I want to be a concert pianist. I've never played the piano.
Which you could have been.
I guess, but wow, yeah. I'm going to throw that
Don't
back.
You get to choose that? Right. I think that's part of the intentionality of it is you get to choose what it is.
I think you created a word there, intentionality.
Maybe. Good. Because if that's a dream or desire or goal of yours, I would imagine if that's the case, I've never heard you say that. So you've spent a lot of time maybe dreaming about it.
No, I haven't at all.
Okay.
I was using as a funny example.
Well, maybe you want to be maybe part of your big dreams is to be a guitar player in a rock band. And you've thought a lot about that.
Today Show. I want to host the Today Show. I've been very clear with that at times.
Then how come we didn't do a whiteboarding on how you could host the Today Show?
I don't know. That would be fun though.
That would be some planning that we could go into.
That would be a lot of planning.
Figure out how to make that a reality. So I just think that's one of those things that. So I would argue that I would offer that my one thing is that planning is really about intentional thought. It's not just writing down something. It's that you've actually taken some time to consider all the things that are a part of whatever goal it is that you have, whatever destination that you've set. And obviously there's a balance between, as we discussed, over planning and under planning. Although those are both, I think, adjectives that would describe planning. And so maybe it's just planning. And then you get a chance to lay out what your plan is and then take the steps to try to achieve it.
I like that. That's good. That's good.
All right.
Wow.
What were you going to
say? My head is spinning from all that we've covered. Some episodes I really find I have to think hard. This is one where I'm really thinking hard. So I look forward to the rest of the week talking about this planning animal.
Well, I think it's helpful. I think it can, and as we'll talk about later in the week, there's some challenge to it. There's some benefits. So we'll have those discussions as we go through the week. So we welcome you as you're thinking about it. Make sure you catch those episodes as they'll be coming up this week so that you can get a better understanding around your own planning. And I think just like our own pathways are unique, I think our planning efforts are unique as well. So it's not just like, okay, do this, and this, and that's planning. That may be planning for one person. That might not be planning for someone else. So again, if you have something you'd like to share, what's your one thing, please feel free to put it in the comments. If you happen to be listening to the podcast, we understand. Unfortunately, there's no place to comment.
So annoying. So annoying.
Can you control? Well, you could control that. You say you've been
planning to fix that. It's just taking longer than I thought.
Okay. Well, we might want to look at your planning. Is it just a dream or are you actually planning it?
Oh, I think it might be a dream.
Okay. All right. Well, anyhow, if you are listening to the podcast, there is an opportunity for you to comment. If you're a LinkedIn person, go to Renegade Success Network for Leaders LinkedIn group, and you can share your thoughts and ideas there. Or if you're a Facebook person, go to the Ring of Renegades. You can join us in there and share your thoughts and ideas. Because we know when you add your value, there's someone else who's desperately seeking that. And you might make the difference between them moving forward and staying stuck. Likely, you will also gain some value as well, which could be the difference for you to help you move forward along your own unique pathway to success. So we look forward to seeing you inside of one of those two groups. If not, we'll see you tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Eastern time for our next episode of Today's Antidote. Have a great day, everyone.
Hey, embrace the renegading you, and it's National Pickle Day. So if you like pickles, have a dill, have a bread and butter pickle, a kosher pickle. I knew you didn't like pickles. That was a given. I could have guessed that from a mile away.
Well, then you would have guessed incorrectly.
Oh, you do like pickles. Okay.
There's some pickles that I do like. Yes. And
you like a sweet gherkin, don't you?
I have no idea even what it's called. I just know whether I like it or not.
The sour ones or the sweet ones?
I don't know.
Okay. All right.
Sour, sweet's an adjective. I think I've said I tried.
It's also a way to describe pickles. If you're going to go to a deli and get a sandwich and they say, would you like pickles? They might offer you would you like sour? Would you like sweet? Would you like dill or would you like sweet?
Yeah. Anyhow, National Pickle Day. National recognized Renegade Day. That's
I knew I could bait you into this discussion. It's a given.
Absolutely. All right, everybody. Go out and make it a great day. We'll see you soon. Thanks for listening to Today's Antidote, powered by the Renegade Success Network. The Renegade Success Network helps you confidently create your own unique pathway to success. To learn more about the Renegade Success Network and how you can take your next step, follow us on Twitter, connect on LinkedIn, or join the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. For full details on how you can join our community, go to renegadesuccessnetwork.com. Embrace the renegade in you.